it seems that Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi is by saying, we are not included in the sin of the generation. Is he talking about the sin of Sabbatianism, of the Frankists, of the Enlightenment? But it's clear that, right, it's been hard for us to figure out what is really the criticism of the Chasidim. Like, what have they done that deserves excommunication from the Jewish people and public beatings? It's very hard to figure out. I mean, handstands are not alone enough. Changing the Nusach, the Nusach of the Rizal, who came, 300 years before this. I mean, maybe it's a violation of the general custom, but it's not, it's not a terrible thing. I mean, what's really going on? So I think you see here that, and we've seen hints of it before, but here it's pretty clear that what he's saying is, you might think that we are perpetuating the sin of this generation. And again, I'm assuming that just means the Enlightenment, but we're clearly not that. Just look at us, he's saying, and whatever witnesses you're getting who are making up things that we're doing that are crazy, those are false witnesses. This is how Lashon Hara works, right? This is how hearsay works, right? It's like a game of telephone. It's always how these things are. Everybody fears things, but they don't necessarily really investigate. So that's what he's saying. He's saying, you didn't have a din Torah. You didn't allow us to bring witnesses. You didn't look and see what's going on. And there's obviously a lot of fear. I mean, this is a time, of enlightenment. I mean, they're entrenched in the Enlightenment right now, 1780s. Lo tochal haaretz hakil godel chilul Hashem v'zayin haTorah be'enei hamon am. This is a chilul Hashem and the desecration of the Torah. Lemor zu Torah v'zu schara. And the people are going to say, is this the Torah? This is its reward. Is this how the kings of Torah act, the rabbis? That they make things up and report about others among our people. Even if you could find something bad to say about us. This is just one person being jealous of another that we haven't given enough honor to them, right? What's he referring to? I assume that this criticism that they didn't give enough honor to the Vilna Gaon. Because if you remember the broadside, there were these criticisms in the letters that the rabbis wrote, but then when it came to actually announcing to the people, they basically just said the Chasidim were going against the honor of the Vilna Gaon. That was the main criticism, right? You're different. You're doing something different. And the truth is that the people, he says, who are reporting this, even that we don't respect, the Gaon or the rabbis, they're just reporting that. It's not actually, they haven't seen that. The elders say that they their criticism of the Chasidim is hung on a great tree, right? They're allowed to criticize us just wantonly because the Gaon said you could. Hagadol HaChasid Eliyahu Mivilna K'Meforsim L'Rabim Shiachid B'Dorahu. And Rabbi Shneur Zalman here says everybody knows that he is unique in his generation, the Vilna Gaon. He gives Rabbi Shneur Zalman gives tremendous kavod, tremendous honor to the Vilna Gaon. And he says, it's interesting. It's amazing how much of this comes down to just, sort of hearsay about how the Chasidim think about the Vilna Gaon, or speak about it, treat the Vilna Gaon, And the truth is, it's funny because it's the Gaon who's waging a war against them. Garme the Abid. This is what has caused everything. It's this sort of Lashon Hara that we're against the Gaon. Any Yachid Machriya Sarava Meshelitanu, Chaveri Talmud Harava Kadosh, Rav Dov Ber of Mezrich, Himilanu Gadol Mereb Elezer Hagadol. Who is greater than I think that means Rabbi Lezer means I think Baal Shem Tov. Shim Hayu Kol Chacham Yisrael B'Kaf Sheni Machriyei Kulam. He is greater than everyone. Bike Nimna V'Rabo Alav Uvarchuhu. And nevertheless, they have gathered up against him, Uvarchuhu, and blessed him. Now, I think that's probably Lashon Saginar. It doesn't mean they blessed him, probably means they cursed him. But he's saying, our rabbi is also great. V'yafim yesh b'chachamim hanal v'shar medinos hamelech od rabim minachbarim kamoham she'ein tolim daschem klal. And even if there are rabbis who are criticizing us, who are not just depending on the Vilna Gaon, kimi das atzma das Torah, but who have actually seen what we do and are actually using their own minds, and they are writing bad about us without any doubts, if they really know their stuff about us, that what they're reporting about us, if that's really true, that we're violating the words of the rabbis of Chazal, of the Talmud. Mikama umdenos v'ochachos she'ochichu shelo b'mishar. It has to be just assumptions. Halanod alachot yanashim gedolim ke'ela asher higiu leparak hazel lahagis libam smoch al das atzmam b'razil hem miuta d'miuta. The amount of people that could really judge us on their own and could really, are at that level is very small. Yadinu machrinu minu reinu ve'ariyam azel lozozi yadeinu mitoch yadam sha'afim hayu gam heim ma'amidim otanu b'chezkas kashrus mu'umdin datam b'laros kumosam. Certainly if they're judging us, with a chezkas kashrus, with you have to start by judging favorably. Kayama lan de beumdina azlinan basarov deos lomrinan trei kamea. Here's trying to use a halachic mechanism to point out that, when are you allowed to assume things? Halachas kamakama sharabim asheritan ro biodim umuchanim lahaid b'toras edus al pi shvua chamura deraisa. We have people who are willing to swear that we are religious people, mainstream, from that we've always been. So, it says it's all hearsay. Not so those who come against us. They're just they're like people who just make decrees. Plus, they're saying that we are apikorsim, that we are heretics. God should save us from such things. They're not taking a vow about it. They're not willing to take a vow about it because they're not telling the truth. So he's saying that, if there was a real din Torah, these people would not be willing to give testimony the way that they're willing to just, talk about Chasidim. And when it comes to the rabbis of Moliov that he's addressing, Yosifim anachnu lahafli, we are shocked by it. It says there are thousands of Chasidim already, and how can they just write something going against what everybody, with thousands of witnesses can testify to, that we are kosher? She'enam muchanim b'shem Chasidim, she'enam muchanim b'shem Chasidim v'lo shalchu achareihem. Lots of people are willing to testify good about us, who are not Chasidim, but they haven't asked for them. There hasn't been a din Torah. Yeah, Gidu al Yashrenu, Chishon Pulenu. People can testify good about us. But you, instead of assuming righteousness about us, instead of asking around, instead of actually researching, you've just, dismissed all of that and basically said, assumed that the worst about us. You don't seem to want to have justice done here at all. You just want to say bad things about us. So, on the one hand, is he being extreme? On the other hand, we know this is the way human beings work. When it comes to a group that, whatever it is, try to think of an example today, right? I don't know, graduates of Yeshiva Chovevei Torah, right? So in some parts of the Orthodox community, all you hear is they're not religious. None of them are religious, right? But obviously, it's absurd, right? It's not that they know any of them. It's not that they really, it's that, okay, you're basing, you take one story or one situation and you expand it. When I was a boy in yeshivas, they hated Yeshiva University and Rabbi Soloveitchik. They felt that Yeshiva University, Rabbi Soloveitchik was terrible. It was leading people astray, and it was secular studies, and they weren't really religious, and they meet with the reform, and is it based on something? Well, there's something it's based on, right? There was Rabbi Soloveitchik felt that you could meet with the reform people in certain contexts. But it's not like anybody really checks. It's just it's polemics. It's fear. This is very common stuff. I mean, we see it in our world today. I mean, in the non-Jewish world, in partisan politics, obviously, I'm sure, that's what fuels things is if you really researched everything, obviously things are always much more nuanced. So I think this is probably very similar. Okay, have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.